Hey everyone, welcome. I'm grateful to have you here. And if you haven't met Emma, I'm excited to introduce you to Emma. We have been hanging out these last couple of hours working on our emerging future stuff and are having a strong impulse to record a video to answer some questions that we've got from people in our community, people who are on the support team for our emerging future, investors and collaborators we're exploring relationships with. And so we want to take 15 or 20 minutes and speak to some of what's happening with our emerging future right now. So, welcome, Emma. Thanks for being here with me.
Thanks. I'm very happy to be here.
I imagine we'll share this on the Our Emerging Future Instagram page and on YouTube, and I can put it on my podcast if that feels right. So, just sharing some updates with all the good things that we've got going on in our emerging future. We might not get to all of them in this video, and we want to speak to some of the highlights. So yeah, anything you want to share before I dive into some of these questions?
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited, and I feel like I'm still sinking into the field that we've been creating and being from the last hours, and I love bringing that in here.
Can you share, before I dive into these questions, can you share a little bit about who you are and how you relate or are in relationship with our emerging future, just to give people some context?
Yeah. Yeah, so my name is Emma. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm living in Amsterdam. And what feels most true to say is that I'm all in with our emerging future. I feel so passionate about what we're doing, what we're creating. Yeah, I feel that's impacting me as I share it, like an outward movement. Yeah, and I resonate. Yeah, I just resonate deeply with the vision um, of our emerging future, and that's been moving through Forrest and also moving through me and through many others now. Um, I'm like, do I want to speak to something where I'm coming from? Does that feel alive? I mean, I've been in the realms of self-development for years. Um, and I love that what I feel with our emerging futures that we're kind of like going beyond that. And really what's on the other side for me is creating from wholeness. Yeah, and that's incredible and sometimes super challenging and like on the edge of the unknown.
Hmm.
And like what I feel we're doing, and as I'm speaking, feel I'm doing is like um, embodying what we want to bring into being, like embodying the new world together. Yeah.
Yeah, as you're sharing, we've talked, we carve up consciousness all different kinds of ways in different moments. And as you're speaking, it connects me to these maybe four different phases of human experience and how we relate to them in our emerging future. So phase one would be consensus reality, where we're like working a job or we're in university and like what matters to us is what matters to the world. We're kind of like in the world of who's going to win the next presidential election and like what's the most trendy show on television right now and like that realm, right? Uh,
Right.
and then a lot of us, whether it's through an existential crisis, whether it's a peak experience that we have of some kind in meditation or psychedelics, the loss of a loved one, some trip that we take that changes our worldview, a lot of us start to enter this personal development journey that you were speaking of and get into therapy, meditation, living in intentional community, traveling the world, taking a gap year, and exploring our interiors, exploring our inner world and the context with which we were raised, the experiences that we had as young people, and like what in us got attention, what in us didn't get attention. We go on a healing journey. Maybe we've experienced trauma in our life, and there's like this big world of more and more and more and more and more people as it's 2024 now are diving into these worlds of healing work and development work and awakening work and really going on this inner path. And you spoke to what I would call phase three, which you said, I've been in this self-development world and this healing world for a long time. And there's something that comes after that, which is like the post-healing world, which is like, I mean, you and I both know that the healing and shadow work and cleaning up work never stops. We're always doing it. And there is a really noticeable shift at some point in our life of like, I mean, me personally speaking for Forrest, like there was 3 or 4 years of my life that were explicitly about healing work. Like all day, every day, I was doing shadow work and trauma work and therapy and looking at my stuff and working things out. And that's very much not the case anymore. Uh, and so there is this post-healing chapter of our life where it's like, okay, I've done all this healing to access wholeness and be able to be in relationship with life from wholeness. And now I actually want to do that. I want to create, I want to experience thriving and connection and joy and bliss and wonder and awe and have a life, right? Like have a life on the other side of all this healing work. And that's what we call phase three. And then the last one is what we call the phase four, which is the luminous village. And this is like, usually this path is seen as an individual person's path. Like I go through this journey essentially by myself. And we're saying like, hey, there's actually an entire new way of doing things collectively on the other side of this journey. Like you can imagine like one person going on this journey might have a certain impact in the world, but as like hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people shift, the way that we do business, the way that we educate our children, the way that we are in relationship with each other and parent in our homes, the infrastructure we built, the technologies we use, the ways we communicate with each other, the ways we relate with well-being and grow our food and live in relationship with other forms of life on planet Earth and in the universe. I mean, just it's like everything about our experience shifts. And so a lot of our passion in our emerging future is like, hey, as more of us are leaning into what's possible for human beings and the next iteration of humanity, right? Like we were Homo erectus for hundreds of thousands of years and we've been Homo sapiens. And now we're leaning into what we call Homo luminous, like this next iteration of humanity. And as this collective being is coming online, what are the infrastructure, technologies, social fabrics, cultures, institutions, ways of being that emerge as a growing collective of luminous beings is coming online in what we call the luminous village. So yeah, this is what we're leaning into and exploring with our emerging future. And our passion is speaking from this place and illuminating what's possible, inviting you, whoever's receiving this transmission and listening into this vision and into what we're sensing into. And we're also building out the support structures and scaffolding so that wherever you are on your journey, we can help you find the escalator or elevator or onboarding ramp that you need to move from wherever you are to wherever you're wanting to get to in your evolutionary unfolding. So I'm just going to pause here and see what's happening for you, Emma.
Yeah, I'm just very much enjoying how you just put that into words and where you were coming from as you were doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we can talk about some of the opportunities. It is currently like the 2nd of May, 2024, and
Yeah.
we can speak to, I mean, we've got an emergent vision of the next at least 6 months in terms of ways you can engage with our emerging future and what we're holding space for and manifesting together. So I say it's an emergent vision because for us, visions are always these like flickers of what's possible in the future. And we tend to hold them pretty lightly because it's very easy to project onto the future and like claim things are going to go a certain way. And we see it more as like glimpses of what could happen. And yet we tend to just stay with being here now, what's happening in this moment. So we're going to share some glimpses of the future. And we invite you to hold it lightly with us because it could change.
Yeah, and that's what I love. That feels also like what we're embodying. Like we're always listening to what actually wants to happen above like any fixed thing in the future or something. And there's the Northern Star. So I would love for us to share.
Yeah, so today, in this moment right now, I'm in Colombia, in Medellin, Colombia. If you're watching me on video, you can see actually the nature in the city behind me. It's maybe my favorite city I've ever been to. I just absolutely love it here. And there's a group of us here in what we call the hub. So if you go to ouremergingfuture.com and you click on the hub, it's a tab on the website, you can read about the hub. And the hub is our consciousness caravan. It's our group of people who are together in person, traveling the world this year. So we spent several months together in Costa Rica. We spent the last month in Colombia. In the next few days, we're headed to Austin, Texas for a couple of weeks, and then we'll be in Colorado and Boulder for a gathering and a couple other things going on. So most of May will be in the US between Austin and Boulder. And then last few days of May, we travel to Europe. And we're spending about 3 months in Europe until the end of August. And then we'll go to Australia for September and October. So we can flesh out and speak about some different things happening in those time periods. And I just want everyone listening to be aware that there is an opportunity for you to apply. We have an application, and you can apply to come and live with us and travel with us and be a part of the facilitated process that is the hub. So it's not just co-living and co-working. There's a process that I'm holding space for and a growing team of people are holding space for, where there's an all day, every day, 24/7 unfolding happening. And you're getting support, being in relationship with other people from this ground that we're speaking from. I'm going to pause here and check in with you, Emma.
Yeah, I like that you said that from the ground that we're being from, like that feels for me very essential. Like that the way you're being in the hub and the way we're being also when we're creating for our emerging future is very much from this, yeah, the ground of well-being. And so being in the hub, I mean, I haven't been yet, but I've been working with you and I know that like, yeah, like it's really transformative because we're being from that place. And so it's a combination of like potential and creativity and also shadow and stuff like that coming up, integrating. And I like really, I want to name also the what's such a big part of this also for me and what you're embodying is like having a lot of fun.
Mm.
It's also in the hub and
Yeah,
whatever we're doing, we're having a lot of fun.
yeah, so much fun. Oh my gosh. I'm laughing more than I ever have. And I feel compelled to name, like, I mean, you and I were speaking about this earlier, but I really see you as a leader in the hub. I mean, I know you say you haven't been in the hub yet, and you and I have been working together for a year now, basically, in different contexts. And you've been on staff and earning a salary for our emerging future for months now. And
Yeah.
you know, you and I are both pretty clear we're basically working together for the rest of our lives, essentially. Uh, and I just feel like you embody the field and the consciousness and you know, we always say be the hub. It's a way of being, and I experience you being the hub very consistently, very persistently, very like pervasively, actually is the word I'm looking for in our relating. So I see you in the hub not just as a person in the hub, but really as a leader and as another beacon of the transmission of what's possible and our come from as we're hubbing together. I just want to acknowledge your leadership and
Yeah.
and
Thank
level of embodiment.
you. Yeah. And I've been in hubs, communities, all sorts, but not this one.
Yeah, yeah. Someone in our community asked us how long slash short of a time can people stay at the hub?
Right.
And honestly, the answer is like it's a choose your own journey thing. And it's that plus doing what feels right. And we use this term of capital R right, like we use this distinction of capital R right, which is that when you apply and we're in relationship with you about being in the hub, you could say something like, hey, I want to come and spend a week. And then we check inside of ourselves, like we feel into our body, check in our awareness and our all of our different sense making capacities. And it's like, yeah, that feels right. And you might say, hey, I want to come for a week, and we might get something and be like, wait a second, that something feels off. Like I feel like it's more than that, or I feel like it's less than that, or whatever it is, right? But there's something that something we really focus on in the hub and in our emerging future is there is some potential that we can land in that just feels good for everybody. And we're all just like, yep, that's it. And like the truthiest truth just lands. Like in everybody's nervous system and everybody's binary is being like, when you land in the truthiest truth, it's just like, okay. um, and so the honest answer is you could be like we could be in Amsterdam this summer or Paris or somewhere in Norway or Germany or Ibiza or Venice. Like we're exploring all these different potential places. And you could just be in the area and pop by for lunch. Like you could be in the hub for an hour or two. And we also have people, there's a schedule of the people who've been like essentially in air quotes approved to join the hub, like who've applied and we've been in a relationship with, and now they filled out the dates they want to be in. And so some people are coming for 3 or 4 days, some people are coming for a week, some people are spending the entire summer, right? And we have people here. I mean, I've been in the hub I don't know, 3 or 4 months now, and I'll be in the hub in the US next month. I'll be in the hub 3 months in Europe, and I'll be in the hub 2 months in Australia. So I'm like a all day, every day hubber year round. And we have people like that. We have people with us who are hubbing the whole year, traveling through the US, through Europe, through Australia. We have people like you who are joining us in Europe and then coming to Australia. It's just kind of like plug in and do what feels right and do what feels best for you. So yeah, I'm just gonna pause. I know we have a time boundary in the next 15 minutes, so I want to get to the questions that we have from our folks and also just kind of stay in our flow. So in terms of the activities that we might do to help, this is another question we got. Could you please list some of the activities you might do to help participants unlock their fullest potential and catalyze collective thriving? I love this question. I feel like we could talk about this for an hour. And in a short version, the format that we're playing with right now in the hub and that we sense we will do in Europe this summer is that every day we spend at least an hour in a collective container that's for collective unfolding. So every single day in the hub, we spend at least 1 hour together. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 hours, and it's at least an hour. and all kinds of things that happen. I mean, sometimes we just sit there in silence. Sometimes we get really deep into creation. Sometimes people have interpersonal conflicts they need to sort through. Sometimes we're emerging protocols or talking through the latest insights and downloads we're getting in terms of what's coming online. Sometimes we're welcoming in a new person to the community. So there's all kinds of ways that the collective unfolding container can go, and we do that a minimum of an hour every day. And that context, that hour, we're deeply focused on the collective. So every individual shows up and we do bring our individual stuff, and we're also really foregrounding our we. One of the things we really track inside our emerging future and inside the hub, for example, out of the many contexts that we have, is that we're not only all just individuals who are developing, our collective, like the hub, the I that's made up by all of the individuals in the hub is also evolving. And so we're really tending to that. And then in addition to this collective context, I do at least one one-on-one session with everybody who's in the hub per week. So if you're in the hub, you have a one-on-one session with me every week, and you have the collective hour or more every single day. And we have a whole suite of practices and tools and resources and frameworks and inner movements and gestures and no like protocols, things to support you in your depth work, your awakening work, your interpersonal work, your bringing your project in the world and creation. Like we've really, I mean, if I'm being really honest, it's basically like we're just here for whatever comes up. Like any context, any way you want to go, we can support you. We've got enough resources to do that. So if you need funding, we've got funders. If you need support with your business, we got you. Healing, trauma work, we got you. Interpersonal work, we got you. Awakening work, like it's here for you.
Body work.
Body work, energy work. No.
Yeah.
And we got another question, which is how do people in the hub generally use their time and the resources available to them? And the way I want to answer this question is to say that what we're at the core of what we're supporting in the hub and in our emerging future is the natural, organic, evolutionary unfolding of consciousness. And so it's not so much a traditional thing where you come into the hub and we tell you who to be and how to act and what to do and how to live your life. That's not our approach. We support you connecting to your essence. We support you connecting to what matters most for you in the moment and your natural, organic, evolutionary unfolding. And we support you discovering how to bring awareness to that and breathe into that and tend to that and nurture that so that it takes over and moves you through your life and moves you in relationship to what you create and in relationship to other people in the hub and in relationship to your experience. And so to answer the question, how do people use their time and resources available to them? It depends where you are in that journey. And the more you do the work, the more that your natural, organic, evolutionary unfolding informs the moment in terms of how you relate with your experience. And prior to that, we're just supporting that coming online more fully until it takes over.
Yeah. Yeah, great. And I just want to add, like, what you just spoke to, that there's like, that we have this whole list of like practices and inner movements, and that we've been documenting also. Like, there is curriculum emerging for the trainings that we're also setting up. And these will also be things that we'll be doing in the hub. So like also if people want more concrete examples I hear in the questions, then also they can reach out to me for sure.
Yeah, I feel like that's a just perfect segue into, we got some more questions in relationship to our facilitator trainings, which is something that you've been a point person on. So I'll just speak to one thing I want to name before we get into these questions is we ran 2 facilitator trainings in Medellin in Colombia this last month, and we did our foundations training. This is our most basic skills in terms of how to be in relationship with somebody in a way that supports their natural organic evolutionary unfolding in the moment. Very basic stuff and incredibly profound stuff. I mean, very deep, very profound, very basic things that a lot of practitioners, facilitators, therapists in the world, in my opinion, clearly just haven't had access to because it doesn't show up in the way that they relate with clients and facilitate. And that's the ground with which we can build later capacities for facilitating and training. So you have been the point person for months now on what we call our architects and facilitators training. And so we can speak to that some of initially people come in and they do our foundations training, and then there are at least 4 levels that we've outlined of training that people can go into deeper depths in terms of cultivating capacities and skill building to support people in their healing and developmental journeys.
Yeah. Yeah, first thing I want to speak to is that this is really part of our vision of like emerging infrastructure for the Luminous Village, and that the architects and the facilitators that we're training are key.
Yeah.
This. Yeah, I feel really passionate about that. And like, it's not just like, oh, I'm going to do a training to become a facilitator or something. Like, it's really enrolling in the vision of bringing the new world into being. And part of that is maybe we have this level 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's much more beyond that that we can't even see yet, I feel. Yeah. Concretely, we're gonna do architects and facilitator training this summer in Europe as well.
Yeah.
And the idea is to do that one, I imagine, more like level 2 or 3. We're gonna invite in some people that we see are already quite experienced in the field, like leading edge facilitators. Or actually, if I speak to your dream, the best of the world. We want to invite in the best of the world. In Australia, we're also going to do it, right? In Australia, we're going to do level 1 and level 2, I think.
We're going to do at least 1 foundations in Europe this summer, and we're going to do a foundations in Australia this fall. And then there are these more advanced trainings that we're offering to, like you said, the best practitioners in the world. And the foundations program is, the way it comes to me in this moment is 2 or 3 days. It depends on who the group is and how much, like, if we get more, we did 1 training in Medellin with some more advanced practitioners, and that training only took a few hours because people got it pretty quickly. And then we did another training, which my sense was we would actually need a full 2 or 3 days to do this training, because things need to really set in, and there's a lot of questions and shifts in orientation happening. So we'll be doing at least 1 foundations in Europe this summer, and we'll do a foundations in Australia this fall. And then we're also going to do the architects and facilitators training, more advanced protocols and ways of facilitating in Europe this summer. So we got a question in terms of the facilitator training. People said, what level of support will the participants be able to provide others once they have completed the training? For the foundations training, for me, what we're doing in the foundations training, if I'm just being really honest, is like, this is the basics of how to be with other people that I feel like every parent, person, teacher, business person, like just every human being, this is a part of the basic operating system of the Luminous Village and of the new world. It's like learning your ABCs of how to be with other people. And it's so profound and it's so powerful. And I don't like, it's simple, but every time I say it's simple, the people who participate in our workshops get upset and they're like, yes, it's simple, but it's very powerful and it makes all the difference in the world. And you need to articulate that more. So I'm doing my best, everybody, to really, I'm doing my best to really speak to that. It is simple and it's incredibly profound. And it makes all the difference in the world. And so if I'm being really honest with you, on the other side of the foundations training, I don't imagine you would call yourself a practitioner or a facilitator or a healer or a coach or something like that. It's not like that. If you want to pursue a career and you feel a calling to be a coach, facilitator, trainer, healer, therapist, this is essential stuff that you're going to get in the foundations training. I mean, so essential. And you might not get it even if you go get a PhD in psychotherapy. So highly recommend. And you will be incredibly gifted and resourced to be with other people as they unfold in their experience, in which a lot of healing and newness can happen and come online. But it's not because we're doing interventions. It's not because we're supporting people going through a process and doing some kind of transmutation work or release technique, or it's not any of that advanced stuff. It's just basic, like basic where we're coming from, how we relate with people, the kinds of questions we ask, the kinds of language we use, and supporting people to essentially be able to unfold and unwind in their own experience without projecting onto them and causing harm and creating universes where there aren't, and making a mess out of somebody else's experience. And that is a tremendous, tremendous gift and capacity to have. So everyone, I imagine everyone in your life will appreciate that you took this foundations training if you decide to take it. I imagine they will notice the difference of what it's like to be around you. And I imagine you will notice the difference in your own lived experience. And we call it the architects and facilitators training because it seems to us that in this new world that's emerging, there's this capacity to facilitate and support the natural organic evolutionary unfolding of what wants to happen, in parallel with the capacity to architect the scaffolding and infrastructure that's needed to support that unfolding, are harmonized capacities. And so it's like, I don't, we are facilitating life and facilitating emergence, and we're also emerging the structures that support that process. And so we call it the architects and facilitators training, because the archetype or the archetype or the persona or the way that the thing that comes online for people as they come online more and more in our emerging future ecosystem and spend more time in our community and do our programs, is this new archetype. It's like, it's not really an entrepreneur. It's not really a coach. I mean, it is that. It includes that. And it's so much more. You really become this consciousness architect and facilitator of collective unfolding and newness and healing. And so I also want to speak to that. It's like, we are running this incubator in consciousness that's incubating something that's never existed before. Like, traditionally, incubators are seen for either babies or for startups, and we're creating an incubator for consciousness architects. So I know we got, what, 3 minutes left, Emma? So I imagine, we've got several hundred people in our Emerging Future WhatsApp community. So anybody listening to this, if you're enjoying what we're sharing, you can go to Instagram, follow us on Our Emerging Future. You can go out to ouremergingfuture.com and check out the different offerings we have. We have in-person gatherings happening in the Netherlands this year with Sarah McCrum. If you go to the wellbeingeconomy.com, you can see the gathering that we're hosting with Sarah McCrum in the Netherlands. We're hosting a gathering in Australia this fall. The website is not live yet, but it will be ouremergingfuture.au. Both of these are accessible and will be accessible through ouremergingfuture.com. Ouremergingfuture.com is the hub for our online infrastructure. So go to ouremergingfuture.com, give us a follow on Instagram. You can join our WhatsApp community through ouremergingfuture.com, which has a few hundred people in it now. And we're also launching our paid community for people who want to have access online to deeper dives, community, regularly recurring monthly calls, online modules, uh, a larger network of people who are bought in financially in addition to with the time and attention. And yeah, we have, the architects and facilitators training we were speaking about. We have our online 3-month container Light in Action, which is a soul leadership program. So there's a lot going on. I'm notice a holding back or a little bit of it's more of a pause inside myself because I don't want to do information overload. But we just have like so many amazing opportunities and places that you can plug in. And we love to meet people who are lit up by this vision and figure out, what we have that supports you and who we can connect you with in our community and how we can best be here for you.
Yeah, great. That feels really important also for me, like that we want to set it up in the way that it's supporting people. So this is what's been emerging so far, and I imagine we'll keep expanding as we're in relationship with people around us. So yeah, I would love to have you if this resonates.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for being here. And if you've made it this far, just hearing our updates and bringing your presence to this conversation. And thanks, Emma. I appreciate getting to explore with you like this. And I'm excited to I know so many people have been asking for an update and what's going on with OEF. And this feels partial and also really useful in getting people up to speed with what we've got going on.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Forrest.
Yeah.
Really appreciating this.
Okay. Take care. Lots of love.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Yeah. Be well, everyone. Enjoy.